What happens when you pray? Lying down. Why Jesus still hears every whisper. Have you ever whispered a prayer while your head rested on the pillow? Have you ever found yourself too weary to kneel, too burdened to rise, and yet your heart still reached for heaven as your body remained stretched out in bed? For many, the question comes with both wonder and hesitation. Does God hear the prayers I pray while lying down? Is it less reverent, less powerful, less holy than kneeling? Or could it be that the posture of the heart matters more than the posture of the body? As believers, we know that prayer is not confined to location or position. Prayer is the breath of the soul, the lifting of the heart to God. And though tradition and reverence often call us to kneel, the Bible itself is filled with moments when people prayed while lying down, resting, or even too weak to move. The Lord who listens does not measure the angle of your knees or the straightness of your back. He measures the sincerity of your spirit. What happens when you pray lying down is not that your prayer becomes weaker, but that it becomes an honest reflection of who you are in that moment. Fragile, human, longing, and dependent on God. Think of the psalmist who wrote, "On my bed I remember you. I think of you through the watches of the night." Psalm 63:6. David did not wait until morning to kneel in the temple. He poured out his heart while lying awake in bed, reflecting on the goodness of God. That prayer was no less powerful, no less accepted, than the prayers he sang with harp and lyre. It was a prayer born in stillness, proof that God meets us even in the silence of the night. When you pray lying down, you enter into a posture of rest that can actually open your heart in a unique way. Your body relaxes, your mind slows, and your soul finds room to listen. Sometimes the most honest prayers rise not from the well-rehearsed words we speak on our knees, but from the weary whispers breathed as sleep draws near. In those moments, the Holy Spirit himself intercedes with groanings too deep for words, carrying your sighs into the throne room of God. There is also something symbolic in praying from bed. It is a recognition of your weakness, a confession of your limits. You are saying, "Lord, here I am, even in my weariness. I cannot always stand before you, but I can still call on you." This humility is precious to God. He does not despise the broken and contrite heart. The Lord who listened to Elijah under the broom tree, who met Jacob as he lay with a stone pillow, who gave dreams to Joseph and Daniel, is the same Lord who bends near when you whisper in the dark. Some might argue that kneeling shows more respect, and yes, there is beauty in bowing low before the king. But God is not bound by posture. Hannah prayed with lips moving but no voice. Solomon prayed with arms lifted to heaven. Jesus prayed face down in Gethsemane. The point is never the position of the body, but the posture of the soul. What happens when you pray lying down is that you are reminded that God sees through flesh to spirit. He hears what no ear can catch and understands what no tongue can form. Praying while lying down can also be a powerful way to end the day. It is a surrender of your final waking thoughts, a handing over of your worries, hopes, and dreams to the one who never sleeps. In that act, your bed becomes an altar, your pillow a place of sacrifice, your sighs a sweet incense rising before the Lord. You may fall asleep mid-sentence, but do not think your prayer was unfinished. God hears it all, from the first word to the last unspoken thought. Sleep itself becomes a continuation of prayer, a resting in the arms of the shepherd who makes you lie down in green pastures. There is even power in the vulnerability of lying down prayer. You are defenseless, horizontal, still. It is a reminder of mortality, of the day when you will lie down for the last time. And yet, even in that posture, you lift your soul to God. In that, you declare faith, even when weak, even when near sleep, even when the body is not strong, the spirit can soar. That kind of prayer humbles the heart and exalts the Lord. Throughout history, believers have found God in the quiet of their beds. Augustine wrote of prayers rising in the night. Countless saints testified that some of their deepest encounters with God came not in crowded churches, but in the solitude of their rooms, lying under the stars or on a simple bed. To pray lying down is to join this cloud of witnesses, declaring that no moment is too ordinary, no position too humble for communion with God. There is also comfort for those who suffer. For the sick, the elderly, the bedridden, prayer lying down is often the only option. And does God despise it? Never. In fact, He draws even nearer. He knows the pain of the body, the limitations of the flesh. When such a one whispers, "Jesus, help me," from their bed, heaven listens with deep compassion. The angels themselves lean in. Such prayers, born out of weakness, carry a fragrance that fills heaven with joy. So what happens when you pray lying down? You discover that prayer is bigger than posture, deeper than tradition, more personal than routine. You discover that Jesus is not looking for perfect performance, but for presence. You discover that His Spirit meets you where you are, whether on your knees in a chapel or stretched out in the dark of your bedroom. You discover that prayer is not bound by walls or time or position. It is the heartbeat of a child reaching for the Father. And the blessings are many. Peace descends more easily when you end the day in prayer. And dreams are often sweeter when the last thought is of Christ. Fears lose their grip when placed in His hands. Even if sleep claims you, you awake with renewed strength because your soul has rested in God. The devil himself trembles when a believer chooses to pray in the secret hours, for he knows that even the bed can become a battlefield of victory. When you pray lying down, you are declaring to your own soul that God is not confined to sacred buildings or set times. He is Emmanuel, God with us, in every place, in every posture, in every moment. You are saying, "Here I am, Lord." Whether walking, kneeling, or lying down, I belong to you. And that kind of surrender pleases His heart. The truth is, prayer lying down may be the most honest prayer you ever pray, because in that posture you are stripped of all pretense. You are not performing, not striving, not trying to impress. You are simply you, tired, vulnerable, needy, and yet loved. And in that simplicity, prayer becomes what it was always meant to be, communion with the Father who delights in His child. So the next time you find yourself in bed, eyes closing, mind wandering, do not think prayer is far from you. Speak to Him, whisper His name, confess your fears, thank Him for the day, entrust Him with your tomorrow. Know that every syllable, every sigh, every thought directed toward Him is heard. What happens when you pray lying down is that heaven meets earth in the quiet of your soul, and you are reminded once more that you are never alone. And when morning comes, when you rise from your bed, you carry the fragrance of that prayer with you. Your steps feel lighter, your heart stronger, your spirit calmer, because you began the night resting not just on a mattress, but in the arms of God. And that, friend, is the power of prayer. Whether spoken on your knees or whispered as you lie down,